I'm Dr. Jade, founder of Nspire Primary Care, and I'm in the studio with J Haleem.
Does your roof need some love? Maybe a whole roof makeover? Rhino Roofing can make your roof as good as new. Any job, big or small, residential or commercial. Go to rhinolovesroofs.com to get a free estimate. That's Rhino Roofing at rhinolovesroofs.com to get the roof of your dreams. Rhino Roofing, Las Vegas's premier roofing company. rhinolovesroofs.com. That's rhinolovesroofs.com.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy J Haleem. We are back with another one, like Khaled says, another episode of In the Studio. And again, we are definitely upgrading right now. Listen, this woman here is literally a celebrity.
Oh, stop.
No, I haven't been here that long, but I've been hearing nothing but phenomenal things about you and about the thing that you're doing, the work that you're doing. One of the things is being a role model for sisters, but again, doing stuff that everybody's not doing. Me being in entrepreneurship for over 20 years, everybody's talking about doing so many trivial things in business that's not moving the needle. And one thing about you and your business is that you're actually doing something that people need. You're actually solving problems, and you're changing your community, and probably going to be changing the world before now and later. So for me, that's what entrepreneurship is about.
Yes.
That's not just somebody just saying, hey, I want to be in business just to make some money, because you can make probably more money just doing what you do, working with somebody else. And so at the end of the day, I am excited. Y'all feel it. Y'all feel my energy. You know I'm excited to have the one and only Dr. Jade in the studio. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much. What a warm welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm excited to have you because I'm excited to learn from you. I'm excited for my people to learn from you. But again, I'm excited about entrepreneurship because being a doctor, again, people do PhD, whatever, I feel like a lot of people don't get it with the right intentions. Mm-hmm. People get their PhD because they want to make more money. Mm-hmm. People become doctors because they want to make more money.
Yes.
They're not trying to actually make a difference. Mm. It's like, hey, go be a doctor, you're going to make a bunch of money, you don't have to worry about, you know you're going to have a job. Go be a lawyer so you know you can have a job. Mm. But starting a business, and from what I've studied about you and read about you, you're not just making some money as a doctor, because you can, and you're probably doing well for yourself, I'm sure, but everything you do is coming back to trying to help people, creating something that you don't have to create. And that's the part that I tell people, entrepreneurship is supposed to be so selfless, not selfish. Where did that start from you?
Yeah, thank you. And so my degree is an MD. Mm-hmm. There's so many different degrees, and it's not about that. My whole thing is about operating in my calling. And no one told me, be a doctor. You hear about families that say, be a doctor. Exactly. God showed me a vision at 4 years old that I was called to be a doctor. Uh-oh. I didn't know what that meant, what that looked like exactly. I had a pediatrician that owned his own practice when I was in Chicago as a child. And so I just had glimpses of what that looked like. But God kept showing me visions of me in a white coat, helping people, being the community doctor. And then he just placed little angels along my path that gave me realizations of what that looked like. And so when you say about money and hustle and all of that, my whole mission is about calling. Yeah, and so I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. It was a very hard journey. I had a lot of setbacks, but I'm here, and everything I do is truly what God tells me to do.
Let me tell you something. My hair is just standing up right now, and also you're walking through my interview, helping me out because I knew you weren't from here originally. No, almost nobody is.
Well, I say I'm from Vegas. I am from Vegas. We moved here from Chicago when I was 8.
Oh, okay.
This is my hometown.
Okay, this is your hometown. I love it.
here. This is my hometown.
Yeah, you got that part, but then also everything that you said about the calling, everything you said about angels, because I mean, my people would tell you, I always say that, I say, hey, I walked this path alone, but you do have angels, and you recognize, why, answer this question for me so we can see if we're on the same path. Why do you call them angels as opposed to just friends, mentors, whatever? Why do you call them angels?
The reason I call them angels is because the first time I announced to a group, which was I tell people all the time, my preschool career day. What do you want to be when you grow up, right? We all had to come dressed up with what we wanted to be. And my preschool teacher was the first person that told me that my dream was too big for me. After I told her I wanted to be a doctor, she said, no, you should think about something else. Maybe think about being a nurse. And so a little brown girl in Chicago, nobody in the family was a doctor, didn't come from money. That didn't make sense to people that I could be a doctor. It was a cute dream. It was what kids say, right? But God kept showing me that. And so I say they're angels because then someone would come in my path to say, you can be a doctor. Come see my private practice. You can come shadow me. And so I'm thankful for that. But I heard throughout my journey why I wasn't called to be a doctor. All the crazy reasons.
No, and look, again, like I said, I know we were like vibing on the same frequency because I went through that same path of saying, it's always somebody, they don't want nothing from you. They just come for a season, then they're gone, not because of anything bad. They just come and they just pour so much into you, and it's usually somebody you don't expect. You know, because the friends that you expect to do it, it's not them. Maybe parents, maybe loved ones, maybe spouses not doing it, but it's always somebody that you might not see later on. They only there for a year or two, and next thing you know, it's gone. Not because of something bad happened. And I'm like, they gotta be angels. And that was just me, surmising that, not me trying to act like I'm smart. I'm like, it gotta be God, because I don't even talk to this person no more. I haven't heard nothing from him. Wasn't that bad? We didn't end our friendship or nothing like that. It's just their life took them someplace else. But they put so much in me, way more than the people that was around me for 10 years. They could have been with me for 3 months. And I said that's why I felt like they were angels. So I just wanted to see if you had that same experience.
Absolutely.
That's powerful. Oh my God. So you came here, went to UNLV. I saw that. Why didn't you go someplace else?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer to that is my goal was everyone in my family went to HBCUs. Most of my family went to TSU, and I was the only one who didn't go to an HBCU and stayed here and went to UNLV. The main reason is because I got a full ride scholarship.
I love it.
Yeah, so I got a full ride scholarship. And then people ask me, how did you end back up in Illinois for med school? I got a full ride scholarship.
I love it.
So I was blessed, and that's the thing. When people told me like, well, you can't be a doctor, your family doesn't have money, who's gonna pay for med school? And God made a way.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's how I ended up where I ended up,
Talking about having a full ride and obviously academic scholarship, you have kids that feel like, especially little black, brown, and boys, that feel like the only way they can get that type of money is through sports or something like that. So, or through some type of extracurricular activity, arts or something. What do you say to them right now?
Yeah, what is so cold about, I'm a woman of faith, so it's hard for me to tell anything about my journey and not talk about God. But what's so cold about God is he is creative and he does things outside the box, right? So for undergrad at UNLV, it was an academic scholarship. They had something at the time, I'm not sure if it's still around, called the Millennium Scholarship. And they were trying, because lots of Las Vegas students were going out of state. And so they were trying to encourage Las Vegas students to stay in state. So they had this whole scholarship called the Millennium Scholarship. So that encouraged me to stay. So that was undergrad, and you did have to have a certain GPA and a certain, certain requirements. And so I qualified for that, a certain ACT, right? But the thing about med school was there aren't a lot of academic scholarships for medical school because most people that go to medical school have pretty strong academics. But they had a financial need scholarship. Now, I came from a family who was like a typical middle class family. My mom's a teacher, my dad was a car salesman. We were stable, right? So I wouldn't typically have qualified for a financial scholarship. But this specific year, before I applied for medical school, the car business, my dad was the primary breadwinner, took a horrible turn. And my dad had his worst year in the history of his career financially. And all of a sudden, I qualified for a medical scholarship.
That's the guy.
And it was like, Dad, you lost your career this year so I could get a 4-year full ride scholarship to medical school. And then that following year, the car industry picked back up. And and so it's just amazing. I'm blown away by how good God is.
You know, I'm sure your parents now, you know, if you're talking about that after you went through all that situation, they probably was thinking about how am I going to pay
Absolutely.
for her to go there, and they definitely don't want to disappoint. So what is that conversation like when y'all was maybe at Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner or something like that, when y'all finally reflect on that? What was that conversation like?
I come from a family who is very supportive, and they just were never fearful. They raised a daughter who, they raised me to dream big. Yeah. They raised me to be a woman of faith, and they raised me to be like, you know what, we'll figure it out. Yeah. And so my dad, he would have had multiple jobs if he needed to. My mom was a teacher by day, and then she also taught adults at night how to, you know, Spanish-speaking adults how to speak English at night. So they worked both multiple jobs to provide what I needed. And so when I wanted to go to, you know, Honduras for medical missions, they figured it out. So they just we weren't fearful about that. We had no idea how. They knew I was determined. They never had to ask me to study. I loved to study. I loved straight A's. So the determination was already there for me, and God worked the rest out.
Why don't we honor those type of parents something like anymore? Or why don't we put those parents on blast? Yeah. Because it's always, oh well, if the dad got to come in and kill himself in order to make it happen, or maybe it's the mama just doing everything, single mama and all that stuff. But you have parents that seem like they worked together and made it happen. I'm not saying that it was easy. I know for a fact it wasn't easy. Yeah. But they worked together and made it happen. Why is that not highlighted or glorified anymore?
I think it's more interesting to highlight the opposite, right? Or to play into the stereotype of what, you know, Black families are supposed to be like, perhaps. But, and I can't leave out my grandma. My grandma also poured into me and anything I needed. So it was truly, when you say it takes a village, like the village came together.
Don't get me started on the grandma nowadays, because grandma got to have a life too.
New school grandparents have a life, but you know what? Grandparents are younger and younger these days too. Right. So it's not the same old granny in a rocking chair, but I
think it should be, you know, younger granny still, you know, understanding your position as a grandma. Like when you become a parent, for me, that's the journey. You know, it's no job for me to be a father. You know, I'm a dad. That just is what it is. And with that, my kid's probably going to have kids. So I'm looking forward to being a pop-pop or whatever they call it. That part, as well as doing the other part, because I think we spent a lot in our generation watching our parents say we sacrificed so you didn't have. We didn't live so you can live, as opposed to, I believe we should live in front of our children so that they can see what it looks like. Be a real example, not get the example off of TV or get the example from somewhere else, right in the house. And it sounded like you got your example from your village, not from somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I had lots of people pouring into me within my family, but lots of mentors that were not a part of my family as well.
Yeah, I just love to hear that, and I think we need to highlight that a lot more, because I think it is a lot of families that's knocking it out the park. Yeah. See, you have a Dr. Jade. I don't know if you have children as of yet.
I do. Okay. 2 little girls, wonderful husband. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. So again, I'm glad that you're here with me, because we're going to talk about Nspire, but we're going to talk about how you're knocking out the park for them 2 little girls. We're going to talk about that husband who has to be somebody phenomenal to have you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we want to talk about, because we want them to know you, not just the business side of it, because it's a person behind that business. It's a visionary behind that vision. You know, so what happened, you know, from when you got out of school, went to Chicago, went to medical school, that make you say, okay, I'm not just going to go into working for somebody else for a long period of time. I'm going to get my skill set, then I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah, growing up, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I always, if I was into something, I'd figure out a way to monetize it.
I want to hear that story. So come on, what was the first one?
Oh gosh, I told my husband this story the other day, so this is kind of embarrassing, but in elementary school, I was actually a matchmaker. And so what happened was, there's this boy and this girl. You know, I do not encourage this if my daughters are listening. We don't do nothing in elementary school, okay? But back then, you know, it was very innocent. But there was a boy and a girl that liked each other, so I hooked them up, and then, you know, they were a match. And then there was one other one, and I hooked them up, and they were a match. And so then people start coming to me and saying, hey, will you match me? And so there was a treasure box that we would get like fake Monopoly money money, and we could go and get treats and toys on Fridays. And so I said, oh, well, that's going to cost you $5 of your dollars, you know? And so then, you know, people would start coming, and they called it Jade's Fine Hotline. And I'm serious. I'm not making this up. Shout out to my friends that went to elementary school with me. They'll remember. And people would be like, I'm here for Jade's Fine Hotline. And, you know, I don't know why I'm telling this story. It's embarrassing.
I'm glad. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but they would pay me the toy, the money. And then a friend of mine came over and was like, hey, if I find you people, can you get $3 and I get $2? I was like, yeah.
What?
And so then she started recruiting. So that was like my first, you know, team. So crazy. And then it transitioned into other things. In med school, I, you know, one of my outlets was painting, like something artistic to do on the side. And so I started getting pretty good. So I created an Etsy shop and started selling my art. You know, I loved poetry. So I started doing poetry competitions as a child. So just all these things.
No,
I was like, let's use the skill.
I love it. Are you friends with any of these people? Because that's your conglomerate right there.
You know, that's the beautiful thing about social media. We still follow each other on social media. Like I've had wellness events in the community. Some of them have come out. So we get to keep in touch in that way. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny how, like you said, that was so innocent. And even the part where they wanted to come in and help you.
Yeah.
At what part when we grow up that we feel like that collaboration needs to be separation? What happens?
Yeah. I think we get hurt along the journey, right? Because you can sit in the rejection of people. Like I can talk about so many people that were supportive, but I had far more who weren't. Yeah. And so I can choose to focus on the majority that weren't, or the large amount that weren't, and sit in that and be like, nope, I'm gonna come off to myself. Or I can focus on the people who were supportive and say, let me collaborate with them. Let me see how I can support them. I think also people were naturally selfish, and that's not a bad thing. Like we're naturally, like for survival, right? We're naturally like, what do I need, right? And so really I've learned to be intentional about flipping the mindset of like, well, what do they need? You know, who can I connect them with? And realizing all of that comes back with the reciprocity. So either through them or through someone else. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Do you feel like your faith made your transition easier when you was making that decision of not focusing on the negative and more so focusing on the positive? Absolutely. If I'm not connected to God, I'm not my best self. And the more I draw closer to Him, the more like Him I reflect, right? And so I'm more thoughtful of others. I'm more patient. I'm kinder. But if I'm not plugged in and locked in with God and in my word, then it's like I'm irritable, and I'm, you know, and you think you point back to self. So absolutely. Speaking of, the surroundings and things like that, you're moving up the ladder. You're a relatively young African American sister. How many times did you have to go through a lot of the issues where people felt like you shouldn't be where you are? It's interesting because somewhere along the journey, a turning point happens. And I think about it, what I've learned, it's about, this is a biblical principle, harvest season, right? And so when you're in seed form, no one cares, you're a seed, right? And so like I think about my med school journey and all of that. When I was in seed form, I was planted. I was, you're going through the ugly phase of taking root. It's being watered. You're not sure if it's going to survive the winters or not, And then you get to this point where it sprouts out, it grows, it gets stronger, it soon becomes a tree, and then it has leaves, then it has branches, and then it starts producing fruit, and then others are drawn. That's when others are drawn, right? And so you can't quit when it's the seed form that no one cares about. And it can't be about other people caring about it, right? And so now it's a blessing to be in a harvest season. And the thing about life is that, again, the seasons continue to change. So even once you become a tree, at some point that withers out and you become seed again. And so you have to still understand that the journey of life, you're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to go to the next level. But when you go to that next level, you're back at being a beginner on that next level. And so I love it. I understand now to embrace the hard seasons, to hang in there, to draw closer to God during the hard seasons. And then I'm learning and having to continue to learn how to just be settled in the fruitful season and not have this energy of striving all the time. So I'm learning that.
And that's a powerful point too, because again, we find ourselves just chasing, and not acknowledging, like acknowledging God, acknowledging where you got into, and that you actually did climb a hurdle. Yeah. Sometimes you already working to the next hurdle. Like, okay, I got over this. Let me rest. Yes. Let me enjoy it. Things of that nature. So you have a phenomenal support system. Now you have this husband of yours. How was that situation? Were you guys dating while you were in school?
So we met my second year of medical school.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So how was that journey with all of the things that you're doing? Because again, I wrote a book called Business Corner: What's Really Needed to Survive the Entrepreneurial Fight, and it was about what entrepreneurs need while they were going through their journey. Yeah. So, and definitely that support system in your house is extremely important. How is that dynamic, and how did it work when you keep striving for all these things?
Yeah, what's interesting is the journey of entrepreneurship didn't come up until later. Mm-hmm. My goal was to be a doctor, and I was intending to be an employed physician, right? And so when my husband met me second year of medical school, it was like he met a med student, didn't have anything, just books, right? And he loved me, and he, encouraged me. And that's what I prayed for, is like someone who would come alongside me, and I could pray for him, he could pray for me, I could support him, he could support me, and that's what I was blessed with. And so I am thankful that once God revealed to us down the road that we were called to open our own practice, that, we were able to go through that journey together too.
Is he a doctor as well?
He is not.
Oh, okay.
No, he is not. He is in technology, so he has an IT background, and he's in the business development. So he's our COO of our business.
Oh my God, that's just doing my heart just so well right now. Because you said us.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, you'd be surprised how many sisters, and I just blame sisters, don't include, because it's just like it's either one or the other. And we've had that vision. We had the Oprah Winfrey's and the people who made it so, black women who made it got so far in the stratosphere. And it's like, no, it's no man, not to speak of. But the inclusion is everything, especially for them girls that you have, and they're going to see like, mom and dad work together.
Absolutely.
It's us. It's not just somebody else. And I commend you guys on that. And shout out to and salute to him as well for being there with you. Yes. Because we do exist. There's black men, or men period, but definitely men who are supporting successful sisters out here and working alongside. So we do exist, ladies. We just gotta find them. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta pray for them.
Absolutely.
And get yours sent to you, special delivery.
Yes, mine was delivered at the grocery store.
Isn't that timely place to find? But no. So now stepping out there. Once you got that vision, what was that transformation like when you had to go tell your then boss, like, hey, now I'm gonna do my own thing?
So I didn't have a boss. So that's the interesting thing. I opened my practice straight from residency, straight from training. Really? So what happened was, during residency training, I got to learn what the business of medicine truly is. I got to learn more about our healthcare system, how it's actually all about health insurance, how physicians are actually employed by the insurance, health insurance. And so all of how you have to behave as a physician and interact with patients is dictated by insurance companies. Wow. They required for us to be in and out the room within 8 minutes or you're fired. They required for us to prescribe pills instead of talking about, health and, nutrition and exercise. That wasn't gonna make insurance companies money. So it was like, no, give them a pill, give them a referral, send them to the hospital, surgery, that's where they make their money. And so once I learned the business of medicine, thankfully one of my attending physicians, they're the supervisors that teach resident physicians, she just asked me what I wanted to do after school, and I told her the dream, baby Jade's dream, I want to be the community doctor, I want to help people, I want, people to be able to reach me and to help them get healthier. It seems like a simple thing, but hard to do in our traditional system. And she said, well, maybe you're interested in something called direct primary care or concierge-style practices. And I didn't know what that was, learned about that whole industry, and God revealed to me at that time that that's what I was called to do. My husband and I prayed about it, and we realized that's what we were called to do straight from residency. So I went from residency training, came out here at the time I was pregnant with our second baby, and when had the baby, and 8 weeks later, we opened Nspire Primary Care. That was almost 4 years ago now.
Congratulations, first of all. But most people be sitting down and relaxing after 8 weeks after having a baby.
No, I was literally in the hospital.
Out there and went straight to it.
I was in the hospital at Centennial Hills with my laptop on the postpartum wing, clicking pre-enrollment. Like, but I don't suggest this, but yeah, I was determined.
Listen, don't try this at home, man.
Don't try this at home necessarily unless God called you to. But.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. Wow. You know, like I said, I have 2 kids of my own, and they mother wasn't doing nothing. Ready? Look, 8 weeks still trying to find out how to take 4 more weeks off work.
Yeah, no.
But no. Shout out to her. But no, that's definitely an amazing story. Now, you said you went to like Honduras. Now, America's not the most healthy place, right? So, was your travel abroad, was that something that helped you out as well when starting? Because again, just looking at the research, we're down low on the totem pole when it comes to health.
Yeah.
What did you learn going out of the country that you were able to bring back?
Yeah, growing up, my mom and I traveled a lot growing up, so I've always been a person who had a view of the world, whether that's the islands, Europe, etc. And I've always appreciated other cultures, other languages. I've always been drawn to Spanish-speaking countries. So I knew when the opportunity presented itself to go to Honduras, I was excited about it. Now we have a nonprofit organization of our practice, and we're doing our first medical mission as a practice next July to the Dominican Republic. So, I knew it was important to learn Spanish. I knew it was important to understand not only what's going on in your community, in your state, in your city, in the United States, but in the world.
Yeah.
And so everything, I think every little piece, it's like little pieces of the puzzle, like, oh, wow. And a bigger appreciation. I mean, when we were in Honduras, we had to warm up ice cold water for over an hour just to get it lukewarm to take baths or showers. Like, just little things that we appreciate or don't think about. It just opens your eyes, and so when I see someone here that's thirsty, it's like it hits different. Like, to just be able to say, what can I do for others, and just be appreciative of what you have as well. Things that we think are poor is nothing like some people's poor. So it all has a purpose.
Medically, what are people doing in other countries that we should be doing or we can do better to up our healthcare system?
Well, I'll be honest, the places I have done mission work have been places that are very, that do not have healthcare systems, right? And so we're talking villages, right? We would open clinics in villages or going to orphanages and things like that. So I can't speak to what we do different in those areas because those areas don't have anything.
Even in your research, some of the things that you might be trying to bring here because you're doing research that we're probably behind on or something like that, or we're fighting to because obviously that's the next question is, because I know that doing what you're doing got to be a fight.
It's interesting. It's all about education, right? Because the thing that's really different in America and the trend that people are resisting getting on is that primary care, which is 90% of our healthcare needs, is best utilized without insurance in the office. And that's hard for us to wrap our minds around because we've been trained that if you want to see a doctor, you use your insurance or have good insurance, right? But I try to use the analogy of cars, okay? If you're using your car, you don't use your insurance card for car washes, for oil changes, for gas. Imagine pulling out your car insurance card every time you needed the 90% of maintenance that we use for our cars. But as soon as we get in a crash, we know to take out our insurance. Health insurance is the only insurance we don't use correctly. And so you're sick, you're trying to reach your doctor, you're trying to do an insurance claim. You need a refill on your medication, you're trying to do an insurance claim. And insurance companies are attaching 3,000 people to every physician. So while you're calling to make an appointment, so are 3,000 other people. That's why it's a 3 to 6 month wait in Las Vegas to see an insurance-based primary doctor. So that's why the trend is modern doctors who are trying to improve quality of care are removing insurance from the primary care office, doing a membership model, and now we can just take care of you as much as we need to without trying to do a claim each time. And then we're using insurance for the 10% of things that fall outside the primary care office, when you need to go get that surgery, when you need your colonoscopy, when you need a hospitalization, but not for the 90% of maintenance.
I love that. So one of the funniest things for me in entrepreneurship, because I became an entrepreneur in college, and they always say, "Oh, you got to have a job in order to have insurance."
Yeah.
And then when I never had a good job like that in my life, but later on when I got knowledge, I'm like paying it anyway.
Yes.
Unless you got like some type of government job who's going to pay it, but you're paying it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say this is the thing. Oh, you won't see it come right out.
Mm-hmm.
Who's not looking at their check stub? I am. Like I will be looking at mine. So it's $800 up this month went out there, $1,200 went out there.
Exactly.
And it wasn't until I had to do that. My wife had lost her job, and it's like 3 years I'm paying out of pocket for my whole family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we don't need y'all. I'm paying for this stuff on my own.
Right.
And so, but what do you say to the people who think that it's unaffordable to go directly to your doctor and they think they need the help to pay for certain things by having insurance?
The problem is, and the insurance companies have done a great job in programming us into thinking it's more affordable to use health insurance, but what they've done is they've created a container where they can do markups without any barriers. And so while you get an x-ray through your insurance, they may say, oh, that price is $300. But I am able to go directly to the imaging center, get the wholesale rate without insurance markups, and they tell me it's $25.
That's crazy.
So I tell my members it's $25. And that's for every little thing. That's for your office visits. Why do you need a copay to see your doctor? Why? If you're already paying premiums, why do you need deductibles if I'm already paying monthly? Wow. Why am I getting a bill on the back end if I've been paying you monthly? Yes. So it's these things that we're not even thinking about, right? And then I'll have people tell me, oh, well, I only had to pay $3,000 when I used my insurance. Well, did you know it only cost $800? So these are the things that we don't know unless we're able to peel back the layer.
This is amazing. And you're right. We don't know this.
Yes.
And going into this space, like you said, it's all about education.
Yeah.
Why are we resisting this education? Because it goes back to the old adage, if you want to hide something, put it in the book. Yeah. Why are we resisting this education? Because it's out there. This is the most information-driven time we've ever lived in. Why are we resisting?
You know why? Because we also are in one of the biggest scam times too, right? and it's very hard for us to go outside of something, our normal, what our parents have done, our grandparents have done, how the United States says it's supposed to be done, right? Yeah. And so if you give somebody something new, it's like, whoa. Yeah. And this is your health, right? And so it's like, well, I'm supposed to do something different. I've always used my health insurance for this. Why are you not taking my health insurance? But everybody says, I have benefits through my employer. Like, what do you mean you won't take my benefits? Yeah. So we're programmed in our country that way for generations, right? And so, but think about, why don't we go to Blockbuster anymore? Why are we watching Netflix? Why don't we do taxis now? Why are we doing Uber? Yeah. Why don't we go to stores for everything? Why are we using Amazon, right? We have to develop. We have to learn AI, whether you want to or not. We have to embrace social media as business owners, whether you want to or not. Yeah. So we're resistant, but the people who get on it early are going to be benefiting the most. Yeah. Yeah. Like
they do everything.
Yes.
So what is the pushback that you get from trying to educate? Because sometimes educating our people ain't the easiest thing. I'm gonna tell you that now. So any pushback that you get when you're trying to educate?
I don't really get very much pushback because people are frustrated with our health insurance.
I love it.
They're frustrated with our healthcare system. Yeah. Most people have had trauma around our healthcare system, either for themselves or a family member.
So it's
people are like, what is the solution? Yeah. And so we're on the cusp of people wanting to know what the solution is, but still hesitant when you present them with the solution of, well, is that it?
Okay. Yeah. So you're here with such a time as this.
Yes.
Somebody, I know it's needed. Vegas is a special place. I've been here for a little while. I'm starting to learn it's a huge city with a small town feel.
Yes.
It's a big city, a lot of stuff going on, but it's definitely like a small town. There's about 1 million people in Vegas, but it feels like it's like 100,000.
It's true.
And I see a little bit of the, trying to keep it the old way.
Yes.
Are you dealing with any politicians, any politics or things like that that's supporting you in the new things that you're doing and new things you're trying to implement in this area?
The great thing is the direct primary care or concierge-style movement actually has bipartisan support. Very few things have bipartisan support. And, I'm not into politics. You can say what you want about the Big Beautiful Bill. However, the Big Beautiful Bill starting 2026 has changed legislation that allows this style of practices to be HSA eligible. So now it's a tax deduction to go to these type of practices, not only for individuals but for employers. So now employers can offer this as a healthcare benefit and as a tax deduction for the business. So there's all sorts of ways that both sides of the coin are saying, okay, let's see how this goes. And so that's an exciting thing, but still we have physicians that have been lobbying all year to get that bill passed. So, with everything, it takes the boots on the pavement.
I literally put a post out on Facebook today that said one of the things that I've learned is that people have a hard time figuring out that two things can be true at the same time.
Exactly.
So, you definitely have some things that people might not like.
Yes.
And there might be some things that you do like. But it's just like one thing make you not pay attention to everything.
Yes.
And that's kind of like a stupid, in my opinion, stupid way to approach anything. Like you need to know all of it. Take what you can, because no president was perfect. No administration was perfect. And again, we're not doing politics in here. But whatever we can do to make our people better, we need to be thinking about doing it. And if that portion of the bill works, then we need to know about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm trying to share it so people at least can know some light. And shed some light. Absolutely.
And it's tough trying to be the person shedding the light, because as you said, it's more attractive with all the dark.
Yes.
So people want to hear all of the nonsense.
Yes.
And I told people before, I said our loving president is box office. I said this years ago. I said this is the thing that y'all don't realize. A lot of people gonna make money off of saying whatever bad things about him regardless, and they like keep him in office because he's gonna charge some. You can charge some yachts, some boats, so some mansions to having him in there. That media coverage, good, bad, or indifferent. So we got to get past all of that and start talking about this real stuff that you're doing. Talking about the nonprofit. What made you go into that space when it's hard enough just running your for-profit in this world?
Yes. So I've always had a heart for giving, right? But as I learned about business, entrepreneurship, I learned that, build the business and understand that the business is a for-profit entity. But then you come alongside and build a nonprofit side that benefits both sides, right? And so it wasn't my plan. I mean, you can ask what made me do it. The answer is you're going to get the pattern. It was God, right? So God told me to do this, but I just learned the legal structure way, right? Get your 501c3, get it registered, and then you're able to make donations towards things that you're already doing, right? And so maybe some people can't afford our practice, our membership, but we can do events in the community, wellness events, others can donate towards it. Now we can give out healthcare scholarships. And so, last month we did Pickle and Pink for Breast Cancer Month. We played pickleball, it's very fun. We wore pink, but people donated. And then we were able to partner with our imaging center and give out free mammograms to Las Vegas women. So these are just things, like I already want women to get mammograms. I don't want you saying, well, I can't afford a mammogram to be the thing. Okay, well, we just paid for it. So it's really about rowing the boat in the same direction.
Let me tell you something. That right there is because, again, I have one as well. I have a 501c3 and the same thing. I hated the thought of it. All I saw was people look like us begging. Honestly, that's all I saw. People would start a nonprofit because they felt like people were going to give them money. And they didn't know that you actually still had to run it like a company. Had to structure it. You actually had to solve a problem. Have something like, what do you actually do before somebody gives you money? People say, oh, nobody would never support me, things of that nature. But what you just said, the business structure, how to put yourself at another level, we can't skip steps. And what do you say to people who feel like they think they can skip a step to get to this level of success? You've got to go. Success leaves clues.
I think it's really about, a mistake we make, and I made this mistake early on too, but I've learned, is that we are passionate about what we're passionate about. But we're not in business for ourselves, right? So I can be as passionate about primary care as I want to be, but most people want to be snatched. So, okay, let me create a medical weight loss program.
Yeah.
And it's going to help the primary care because
Yeah.
getting you to a healthier weight is going to help decrease your cholesterol, decrease your diabetes, decrease your high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But you care about being snatched. Okay, well, let me come alongside you because I care about that too, but because it's going to benefit the primary care.
Yeah.
So if I primary care you to death, it's going in one ear and out the other. But if I tell you, let's get you snatched, sis, then you're turning to me,
Yeah.
and then we fix both at the same time, but based on what you care about, right? And so I can say, get your mammogram, get your mammogram, get your mammogram, but then the moment I say, hey, let's go play pickleball and come in pink,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, you have to meet people where they are to solve the problem they need.
Let me tell you something. Y'all just got a business masterclass right here in about 5 minutes because we keep making businesses about what we want,
Yeah.
not the problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
And that's business 101. You know, supply and demand. What is the demand? What do people need? You know, and people need this primary care.
Yeah.
But they don't want it that way.
No.
I tell
It's
my
not
brothers,
sexy.
yeah, I tell my brothers and sisters that's in the insurance business. People don't want to buy insurance. You stop telling them that they want to benefit when they die.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that.
Right.
That's all they say. Oh, you can get $1 million when you die.
Yeah.
Look, I want $1 million now. I don't want it when I die. Like,
Yes.
but tell them how they can use it and structure it where they can invest off of it and this, that, and the third, all this other stuff. Then they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. I can have living benefits.
Right.
Not just when I'm dying. I don't even like my wife.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I've been with her. We barely got together. I'm going to leave her $1 million. She be with the next dude. Like,
Right.
no, like you have to find a way to switch it up, but they get programmed in these sales pitches, you know, and like I said, the training, and they just keep giving it to them the same way. Like, obviously it's not working.
Yeah.
You know, let's fix it. And I call it the lottery ticket syndrome. You see one person hit the number, it makes 1 million people play.
Yeah.
So one person knocked it out the park doing it this wrong way, it's gonna make 1 million people keep doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, so I love what you said. I love everything you're doing. This has been a phenomenal conversation. What's next? You know, at the time of this recording, we're coming in, we're in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
What's next? What do we got to look for in 2026?
Yeah, the exciting thing is this open enrollment season, right? So people are making healthcare decisions whether they want to or not during
got
open
that.
enrollment season. And so I'm excited about more people understanding the direct primary care concierge-style space, how it can benefit them, how it can be a tax deduction, connecting with more employers throughout the Las Vegas Valley. Our mission is to help small and medium businesses offer a better benefit to their employees. So I'm excited for more people to get offered this benefit from their employers.
Yeah.
I'm excited about our marriage and family movement through the Nspire Wellness community.
I saw that.
Yeah. So we do every February, we do the lover soiree for married couples in the community on Valentine's weekend. The Nspire Wellness community will be doing different wellness events. So that will go toward the cause in the community. So I'm excited about all of that.
Oh man, it's crazy. And I gotta ask you about this. I'll be irresponsible if I didn't. At the time of recording, we're living through a government shutdown. Actually, the about to be the largest government shutdown for the longest time. I'm sorry. How is that affecting or your business and with the open enrollment scenario? Because that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest topics. So how is that affecting you?
It's interesting because there are pros and cons to everything, right? When I say the cons, first of all, businesses are suffering in general at large, small businesses in particular. There are more layoffs happening, right? Not only on the government side, but small businesses are laying off more people. That means more people are becoming uninsured. So there are more people being, quote unquote, forced into trying cash pay, membership practices. That could have benefited all along, but now they're like, I don't have insurance. I can afford $100 a month for a membership, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one side of the coin. But the other side of the coin, the businesses that are trying to survive, they need to keep employees.
Yeah.
And so they're now interested, okay, what is an affordable option that I can offer? Traditional insurance is so expensive for my business. Oh, but I can cover the membership for my employees. And so they're being forced to be innovative to help keep their employees as well. So it's just an interesting time. I feel like we're just kind of all being uprooted in different ways. And it's our responsibility to find the lights, even in times that can appear dark.
Yeah, definitely. So to keep people off of Aflac,
Well, I don't know. I have no comments about Aflac, but
No, I'm just saying, go from the regular insurance for the
Right.
Aflac, but you guys are definitely finding that lane in the middle to
Yes.
say, hey, you don't have to be here, but you got something else.
Yes.
You said something about couples, and that could be a touchy scenario. So, you have any good testimonials that, because it's been a couple years now that you guys been doing this?
Yeah, this will be our 3rd annual Lover Story for married couples in the community. Yeah.
That's a rough thing, people going through it. So, what's a good testimonial that you can say that a couple came to you guys and said, hey, if you guys didn't have this, it wouldn't be no more us or something like that?
What's interesting is we don't promote the Lover Soiree as a ministry. It is our nonprofit branch. It's under, Nspire LB, but we don't promote it as a ministry, although my husband is an associate pastor at a local church here, so we are pastors. And so I think just people feel the presence of God while they are there.
Yeah.
And what blows my mind is how many of those couples end up coming to church, either our church or another church, and just being led towards Christ in their marriage.
Okay.
That's blessed us because it wasn't something we, harp on while we're there. It's meant to be a community wedding reception feel.
Really?
We're
Wow.
coming. Yeah, absolutely. It's Valentine's Day. We eat wedding cake. We have the couples on the floor. We hear from the couple that's been married the longest in the room. We give raffles. Last year, a local law group donated a free trust to the winner for their family. So it's really just meant to pour into marriage, because marriage is under attack, right?
Yeah.
And if we can bless the marriage, then the family can be more blessed, and then we can have just healthier homes, which can lead to healthcare, right? So it's all connected. It's all connected. I've just been blessed by seeing couples that were struggling. Everybody's like, oh, that's not my thing. They come to that type of stuff, and then they come and they're blessed. Like, that is just, it fills my cup.
Yeah, I totally understand it, because the churchy thing, is kind of dying out, and you kind of gotta give them God in a different way.
Exactly. Gotta meet people where they're at.
Exactly.
Don't come to a party.
But the funny thing is, that was Jesus.
Yeah.
And that was actually Jesus. Jesus was never operating the way that, the last few hundred years we've taught how to operate. And I remember when COVID happened, Ty Tribbett was talking about that, and everybody kind of bashed him. Like, no, this is the real church.
Yeah.
You got to see if you really church now. You can't meet in this building. Are you willing to go out like Jesus did and go out and get with the people? So that's a great scenario, and I think that we need a whole lot more of that, and not trying to go back, because again, like you said, that's going to go away like Blockbuster and other things. This is it. People want to be right here. People might get ministry from listening to this podcast right now, because you definitely didn't mince words about your faith and how you were led, and maybe people will find that quiet, still space to listen, and possibly get a vision, from God. So I definitely appreciate that, and we hopefully you guys do that. Tell everybody how they can find you, how they can go ahead and sign up right now, and open enrollment. They can do all the things and all your information and all that good stuff right now, so I can get them to follow you.
Oh, thank you so much. So our Instagram is like the place we're at the most. Dr. Jade MD, DrJadeMD. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, but mostly Instagram. Our practice is Nspire Primary Care with no I in the front, so Nspire Primary Care. We're on Instagram there, InspirePrimaryCare.com is our website, and there's a big enroll button on top. But you can always just text our team to just find out more. It's if you have questions or are wondering if it's a good fit, we're at 702-867-0017, Team Inspire. So you can always text us, and we're happy to connect.
And where's your location here?
We're southwest off of 215 and Rainbow, but the cool thing about our practice is our members text, email, phone, video, Zoom. So we care for people. Yeah, we care for people out in Pahrump, up in Reno, all over Nevada. Yeah, so we're not bound to Southwest.
Shout out to the Southwest. I love that place. I love it down there. We down that way too. But no, listen, this has been a phenomenal interview. Look, from the time I got started, everybody kept saying, you gotta meet Dr. J. So obviously you're doing some things in the community that people appreciate, and like you need to definitely talk to her. And then I'm blown away.
Wow.
Blown away. And I say that because, again, you're humble. You don't have to be. A lot of people, it's not cool to be no more. It seems like, you could be, you don't seem braggadocious. You're sure of yourself. And that's a good thing for a woman. That's a good thing for a black woman. It's not like she's somebody that she's too good. No, you're supposed to walk in it. And you're supposed to do it. And we want to be people who support that.
Thank you.
So we appreciate you taking the time. And know that this time is precious. You got a life to save.
I appreciate it.
Lives to save. But look, you guys got all her information. If you follow us, you already know when she said it's going to be on the screen so you can see it. You know how you can keep in touch with us in the studio at J Haleem on Instagram and all our platforms, YouTube / in the studio with J Haleem. If you want to follow me, I am J Haleem on all my platforms. Stay connected. Again, we steady upgrading Vegas. This is not a platform that you've ever seen in Vegas. We will be the #1 media platform because we're going to highlight the people that's doing what they're supposed to do here in Vegas. You don't have to go to the TV. You don't have to go to, the radio. We're right here creating a platform for us, by us, right here in Vegas. Again, see y'all next time right here in the studio with your boy J Haleem. Peace.